Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much. Such a delight, first of all, to see people in reality. We're all discovering suddenly how tall people really are, or in my case, how short we really are. So we're here for the opening of the Lily's Legacy exhibition, as you all know. It's a funny thing about liberal Judaism that we talk about Moses and Abraham and Allah and Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, but in the same breath we talk about our founding fathers and maybe most often about our founding mother, Lily Montagu, and that her values and ethics are so built into the way, continue to be, and nearly 120 years later, are still so built into the liberal Judaism we are so proud to be a part of. But even more than that, we're very outward facing, and part of what's so wonderful about Lily's Legacy and this exhibition is that we're showing how significant this was for a world outside our own. And I think one of the things we continue to hope, and as you'll hear, or if you go onto the website and see more of the Lily's legacies, how much we touch a world beyond our liberal Judaism family. We're only able to do projects such as this because of the National Lottery Heritage Fund, which is so integral to the work that Sean and his team and all of us are able to do. And we're really, really grateful for their support, particularly during this lockdown period. And this is, for Liberal Judaism, our first in-person Liberal Judaism event. So there's also a kind of moment here to mark not only the opening of this exhibition, but a chance for us to be in person. But we continue to realise how important it is for us to be accessible to those people who aren't able to be in person with us tonight. And so you'll be able to see this after the event as well. But for tonight, wander around. I hope you've wandered around and seen the exhibition and grabbed a booklet. With no further ado, I want to introduce our first speaker, who we are so delighted to join us, and so much part not only of where Liberal Judaism's office is based, but tonight's exhibition, the Mayor of Camden, Councillor Sabrina Francis. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Firstly, thank you for having me. It's kind of delightful to be here. As mentioned, I represent Bloomsbury, so this is my patch, but I haven't had the opportunity to come in, and I'll make sure that I bring the other two councillors with me as well. I just wanted to start by congratulating Liberal Judaism on the successful launch of Lily's Legacy exhibition. You should be really proud of yourselves for collating all of the information, creating educational toolkits, and hosting events during a difficult time. It hasn't been the easiest time to kind of get people involved in a project, but you've clearly very successfully done it, so you should be very, very, very proud. And also, I was really delighted to hear that the project was funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. I know how hard it can be to get funding for projects, so it's wonderful that you were able to get the money to put it all together. So thank you to the Heritage Lottery Fund, and thank you for all the grants that you give out in Camden, because they are all really, really important. Also very important to Camden is our Jewish communities, and they always have been, and kind of even more so in recent months. As Mayor, I've been lucky enough to visit JW3 and hear about their inspirational food and food bank service that they're going to continue, even as things are supposedly going back to normal. And I've also visited the Jewish Museum and heard about all the great work they did over lockdown to really lead the museum sector in bringing exhibitions and knowledge to life and making it more accessible for everyone around the world and in Camden. So also just want to kind of thank you for the work you do in the borough. But kind of bringing it to today, the project we're here to celebrate was obviously inspired by your prime founder, Lily Montagu. And it is, as I'm sure you all know, a kind of groundbreaking multimedia exhibition that features voices and visions and memories and mementos from people from the 20th and the 21st century, and also their thoughts for the future. And that's something I found particularly just like wonderful to hear about, because I think being from a minority group as well, like I really understand and appreciate the value of like history and how things can be lost unless someone takes the time and the effort to collate it all together. So I think it's really, really impressive that you've done this work, and it's really important work, because if you don't kind of look after your history, it just disappears really, really quickly. So that's great. But as I was kind of saying earlier, from my research into Lily and her kind of tireless campaigning for the rights of women, it sounds like she was a great woman who would be really proud to have her legacy continue to inspire generations to come. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this project. So, good work.
Really important reflections there about the significance of writing down our history and hearing our history and seeing our history. And our next speaker is Lydia Lee, who's the committee member for England, London and the South, the National Lottery Heritage Fund.
On behalf of the National Lottery Heritage Fund, I'm really delighted to be here this evening. Since 1994, the National Lottery has raised tens of billions for good causes, and we have distributed over £3 billion to more than 13,000 projects in the London and South area of the UK alone. It is thanks to lottery players that we have been able to invest in Lily's legacy. We believe that understanding, valuing and sharing our heritage inspires pride, boosts investment and brings people together. The work you have delivered through your volunteers, collecting and recording oral histories, archiving and curating, developing new skills and creating new friendships and common understandings is a great example of how the Heritage Fund's values can be achieved. Due to the pandemic, the UK's heritage has been facing its gravest threat since the Second World War. Despite the enormous challenges you will have faced in delivering Lily's legacy during this period, here we are celebrating a landmark project. We are really proud to have supported you in sharing and commemorating liberal Judaism's rich heritage, as well as its contribution to British society, and to have helped you bring to life the vision of its founders, particularly Lily Montagu. Not only can these important stories now be accessed and enjoyed by a wider range of local people, but through your approach to digitisation by national and international audiences as well. We will watch with interest the development of Liberal Judaism's History Month and hope that you continue to welcome and engage with more diverse audiences and have a positive impact on the lives of many. But for now, huge congratulations on your achievements.
We always love to end with a challenge. It gives us inspiration for what the next steps will be, and they will come, I can promise you. Our next speaker is Dawn Waterman, Archives and Heritage Manager at the Board of Deputies of British Jews. Lovely to have you with us.
Hi. So I'm the Archives and Heritage Manager at the Board of Deputies of British Jews. That's a democratically elected body that represents the Jewish community. We were founded in 1760, so we've been around a while. Our deputies represent synagogues and communal bodies all over the country. We've got, I think, 22 liberal Jewish communities are represented at the board. Many of the deputies are young people from outside of London, so we're hugely glad to have them. We're delighted to be associated with the terrific Liz Legacy project, which we're here to celebrate tonight. At the board, I lead a project called Hidden Treasures, celebrating Jewish archives in Britain. Quick plug, take a look at www.celebratingjewisharchives.org, or follow us on social media if you do that kind of thing, at See the Treasures. And we do exactly what we say on the tin. We celebrate Jewish archives that tell the story. We celebrate archives in Britain that tell the story of Jews in Britain. I give talks about hidden treasures at synagogues and communal bodies, and I always learn something. I was giving one the other day at the South London Liberal Synagogue, when an audience member spotted that an image I was showing, it was a picture of Rabbis Miri Lawrence and Elena Waterman getting ready for their getting ready for their ordination. You'll remember the picture. Getting ready for their ordination, and in the background there was a picture of Lily Montague on the wall behind, looking down kind of benignly, pleased, behind you. So. Lily's legacy and the archive of liberal Judaism are a tremendously valuable part of Hidden Treasures, telling, as they do, an important story of Jews in Britain in the past and also today. Mazel tov on such a fantastic project.
Thank you. It is one of those things that you can't go to many of our synagogues without turning a corner and seeing Lily looking down on you. Certainly in the Montague Centre we are blessed with many different pictures of Lily, and she is woven visually into our everyday existence as well. Our next speaker is Ruth Seager. Ruth is the chair of the Board of National Officers for Liberal Judaism.
Thank you. It's an honour to be here. So, one of the things that Jews do is we remember. We remember a lot of things. We remember the Exodus from Egypt and God's covenant never to forsake us. We remind ourselves every year. We remember our dead with annual yard sites. We remember our ancestors with our annual reading of the whole Torah. We remember our martyrs who perished in the Shoah, and we remember lest we forget. We remember the honourable Gentiles who saved Jews. And we remember the story of how our movement, Liberal Judaism, was created by its founders, Lily Montague, Claude Montefiore, and Israel Mattock. Lily's legacy I see as a link between our past and our future. The project has honoured our elders by recording their Jewish stories. The history, stories and memories will serve as a legacy of their contribution to us and to the wider community. There is so much out there that you read to be proud of. So much we have done. So many barriers we have crossed that didn't seem like barriers once we passed them. The LGBTQ, the women rabbis. I mean, the removing the gender of God. These things that we crossed and we've contributed, and they've become normal. They were normal for us very quickly. They've become normal for others. The readings, if you hear them, they're fascinating. And it is a privilege to hear the voices of those who contributed. The project has created a rich archive of first-hand information that will be available to future generations of Jews and non-Jews for whatever research purposes they may have. So I see the work of Lily's legacy to be a true mitzvah in the most traditional of Jewish practice. Lily would be proud of us. Well done, Sean. You've led this. Lots of other people have contributed, and I don't know if it's my place to thank you, but I do anyway. But thank you, Sean. Thank you.
Our lay leadership are featured very much in many of the archive material from Lily's legacy, but also our rabbis feature very strongly, and many of us have been hugely influenced if not from knowing Lily personally, then certainly from the stories we're told. And it's a real pleasure this evening that we are joined by the president of Liberal Judaism, Rabbi Dr. Andrew Goldstein, who does feature in our videos, by Rabbi Danny Rich, the former senior rabbi and chief executive of Liberal Judaism, features in many of our pictures and certainly has been instrumental in many of the successes that Liberal Judaism and the legacy that we have today. The rabbi that is going, and Miri, you featured in our picture, but also so integral to this project, and Rabbi Miri Lawrence. But the rabbi that you're going to hear from now is Rabbi Dr. Margaret Jacobi, and Margaret, in her own one of her own testimonies, talks about how her father, Rabbi Harry Jacobi, who today would have been Harry's birthday, Zichrono Livracha, his memory continues to be such a blessing. And Margaret talks of how Lily was an influence in him becoming a rabbi, and therefore we must thank her in turn for her influence in Rabbi Jacobi becoming in turn a rabbi, and we are absolutely delighted that she is going to address us this evening and on such an auspicious day, really. Thank you.
Thank you, Charley, and thank you, Sean, for inviting me to speak, and to you and everybody who's done such a wonderful work on the team. As Rabbi Baginsky said, my father would have been 96 today, so it does feel very poignant to be here speaking about him, and in a sense for him, because again, as Charley said, not sure I should have seen that before I spoke, really. It's but anyway, no, as Charley said, Lily Montague was instrumental in my father becoming a rabbi. He was a refugee with hardly any formal education. He left school at the age of 14. And she had faith in him when others didn't, and encouraged him to study and helped him practically to study. She blessed me when I was a baby, although sadly I don't remember that. And I've always been impressed by her legacy. She was, as I'm sure you know, a magistrate, a factory inspector, a suffragist, and so much more. And what I think always impressed me most was that for her, her Judaism and her work for social justice, in social work and so on, were inseparable. They were one and the same. And that, I think, is something I've tried to live by, and I know our movement has tried to live by as well, encouraging our work beyond our movement narrowly, and it's a legacy that I hope we can continue and that we're very blessed with. Thank you.
I am now going to ask Sean to come and address us. Those of you who know Sean will know that Sean is so committed to the projects that he delivers. Those of us that work in the office with Sean see the beginnings of projects that start off as this idea that somehow, and this one really more than ever, becomes suddenly so much part of who we are and what we're committed to. But we wouldn't, and I know that you've had a huge team of volunteers and so many other people, Liberal Judaism, National Heritage, Lottery, committed to this. But it's your inspirational leadership, really, and your commitment to an idea and commitment to wanting to hear voices that haven't been heard continue to be heard, that actually get us to this point. And so thank you for keeping our heritage alive and giving us some inspiration for the next steps. Sean.
Really, I am here to thank you, all of you, each and every one in this room, and all those people who couldn't make it, and hopefully will be able to see the recording and the photos and be with us in different ways. And in fact, that's what we've been doing for a very long time. This project started before the pandemic and the lockdown, and we had planned so many in-person events as we used to do. And then right before we started with our wonderful volunteer team and the great team of people who were involved in creating the exhibition, boom, the lockdown came, and so we had to cancel the physical exhibition. And then the team just pulled their socks together, and it was just amazing how everyone just like all changed and went into like, we have to digitalize this, we have to still do the exhibition. And obviously our funders were amazing, and we're like, yeah, of course we understand things are, you know, changing this project, but yeah, it's still going ahead, and we're gonna produce something wonderful and something slightly different. And we did, and we launched at the Liberal Judaism Biannual in 2020. Sorry, I'm really bad with numbers. Who needs numbers? And it was a great success, and it still can be found online. And before I start thanking everyone, I wanted to just show you a few bits for those people who have not had time to explore the online exhibition, which is then reflected in what we launched today, the pop-up version, which will hopefully go around communities and libraries and other heritage places. I really hope so. So please do afterwards take the time to look around and grab also one of those booklets. I'm sure I've had one. Yeah, you've seen them there. And they will also obviously be as digital versions. Everything will be online as well, including the banners, so people can produce their own pop-ups in their communities or libraries or community centers. So it's all for sharing. But just a quick thing for those people who have not had the time, if you go to the lilieslegacyproject.com website, you'll find a lovely little button that will get you to the exhibition. And I'm just showing you one chapter. Funnily enough, I'm showing you the last chapter, which is Legacy and Future, because really we're going into the future from today. And there's great stuff. We have really, like those panels here. Some panels, we have quotes from the over 120 oral histories. We were going to take only 30 or 40, but then when the lockdown came, we started doing Zoom oral histories, and it just, crazy stuff that we never imagined before. So all this has also changed in terms of how we are producing oral histories and how we interpret them, which was a really interesting process as well. Who would have thought of that, Zoom oral histories? That would have been like something alien 2 years ago, right? Where's the person from the Oral History Society? Yeah, oops. So we have taken quotes from the oral history, both in writing and quotes obviously from Lily. Then we've produced a wonderful set of podcasts, which I can really recommend for you, listening in your lunch breaks or whenever you want to, really. And we have actually the person who produced them with our volunteers here in the room. Lucia, where are you? Sorry, there you are, if you want to have a chat with Lucia later. That's fantastic. Wonderful podcasts out of the oral histories, and with a person who done the sort of moderation of them, Harry Hurst, who I think is not here today. Thank you as well. And of course, we have the online and video oral histories. Some of them were done before the lockdown. We started already doing some video oral histories, and then there are some Zoom oral histories. But
the question is, where will it lead in the future? For me, there's a bit of a challenge in that there is no doubt that in the sphere of social justice, our younger generation and across the board are very active. And the younger rabbis seem to be very active. I think the question will be where we will be as a religious movement in terms of ritual, in terms of synagogue attendance, in terms of performance of home rituals and so on. I think that, for me, will be the challenge in the future. I have every confidence that we'll always be involved, and increasingly so, in social justice. It depends where the religious side, the actual the performance, the rituals and so on, will be going.
A little bit of a snippet from, hundreds of clips that you can find in the exhibition, and then also later on in the archive, which we're now starting to create together with our volunteers who are going to receive some training shortly at the London Metropolitan Archives, which is our main archives partner. And Liberal Judaism has been working on many occasions with the London Metropolitan Archives, so we're strengthening also our partnership with these wonderful archives, and we're looking forward to depositing Lily's legacy. And in fact, talking about deposits today, I got a wonderful surprise. But here, this today, another proof of how important it is to preserve and collect heritage. We got the donation, and there's actually a quite amazing story, but this is actually a book, a Lily Montagu book, Letters to Anne and Peter. Sorry, not wearing my glasses, so this might go wrong. And it is actually, originally was from the Barkingside Progressive Synagogue, which does not exist anymore. And guess what? It was signed by Lily Montagu with a little dedication in year 1944. And that's going to go into our archive. And it's true, it's just amazing. And thank you so much. Thank you. This just came in today. And I think it's just the perfect timing, really. And I'm very proud to hold this in my hands. So just to continue again, before I do thanking everyone by name, and hopefully we're not leaving anyone out, I also want to say today, not in the exhibition, but equally important, we have produced, with all the stories and the memorabilia that we've collected, a wonderful educational pack for schools and cheder, which is like a Jewish school for those people who don't know cheder, but it can be used in mainstream schools and other educational institutes for young people just the same. And we have here Tamar Barnett working on that with the Youth Advisory Group. They unfortunately couldn't make it today, but again, connected to LGY Netzer. And it's been a wonderful journey, right? Yes, I'm going to call you in a moment to the front. So I've brought here today a hard copy for viewing. Don't take it away, okay? It's great. You will want to take it away. But it's all downloadable on the website. And so please do have a look as well and use them. If you have any young people's groups, please use them. It's just really fantastic and really for everyone. So there's a lot more. So before I forget, after this, enjoy the exhibition, the pop-up, grab a booklet, obviously grab a drink, schmooze around, hang out, talk about how communities bring together, something I feel very passionate about. And this is just great. And I'm, in fact, very emotional. In fact, when the first 10 people came into this room, I was going to start crying. Tears of joy, of course, right? Because this is also for me the first event ever since all this happened. And then having to hold on for this, I was literally waiting. And so glad that our funders were supportive of this. Yes, we understand, that we needed to pause this so we can actually have this time together and we can share these moments together. And I think this makes me incredibly proud, and I'm so incredibly grateful to have been on this journey with all of you and the support from everyone all around. So despite the fact that I may seem as the center of the project, and maybe I am in some ways the heart and soul of this, but on the other hand, I couldn't do this without everyone else, be it organizations and individuals. So with that, I'd like to thank, and if I somehow leave someone out, I do apologize. I'm really trying very hard, and I need my glasses. It's not going to work. This happened during the lockdown. Before I didn't have any glasses, and now that's it. So I would like to thank everyone who contributed to this project. There have been some key people who have been working with our incredibly great team of volunteers. There was, and some of them are here today. So there's Rabbi Dr. Mary Lawrence in the room, who has overseen curating the exhibition in the lockdown, and we had so much fun. It was great. And there's Mike Barrell, who I mentioned, who is not here today, who is the video producer. Again, our lockdown team, including obviously the volunteers, so very crucial. There's Lucia Scazzocchio, who is here, already introduced her to you, who done the overseeing the podcast, the production, and amazing. And again, someone, please. Someone, please note, also we worked with in previous projects that were also funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. The last one was Rainbow Pilgrims, and it was also here that we had the reception, as Barbara was saying, which is wonderful that we also people enthusiastically jump into the next project, completely different stories, but yet, it is always about sharing community, sharing history and heritage. So we have Tamar Barnett, who produced the education materials and also was instrumental putting the online exhibition materials into the perspective with our volunteer team of an actual physical exhibition. So please. There's Alan Davis, our wonderful web designer, not here today. There's Richard Bloom in the room. Richard Bloom in the room, who has designed all these amazing things. I think deserves a round of applause. Where's Richard? Where are you? Oh, there you are. Sorry, I can see short but not wide with this. It's just like, you can't win with this. There's Alison Turney, our LJ archivist, and who's been always helpful, always online, and and before that in person, to dig up some documents that nobody else could find. And she's wonderful. Couldn't be here today, but thank you, Alison. Harry Hurst, our podcast narrator, mentioned that. A wonderful voice, brilliant, BBC style, really. There is some of our core team of volunteers who are in the room. I'd like to say thanks to Sue Temple, who's been absolutely wonderful. Round of applause, please. There's Rachel Goldhill sitting there at the back. Is please also wonderful core team. Without her, nothing would have worked. There's Claire Scheinborn here sitting there, who collected oral histories and did really wonderful work. Thank you, Claire. And there's Lise Magnoli as well, who was one of our first ones, always in the Montague Centre, helping with interviews and collecting photos and all sorts of really important things. Thank you, Lise. Oh God, I hope I haven't forgotten any other core volunteer in the room. Then we have obviously those people who were contributing to the stories, and there's so many of you in the room, but Owen, you came today for this. You've been supportive from the beginning, even before we got the funding, and you've come down from Salford really today just to be with us, and thank you for all your support and participating in this project. There's so many people in the room, like I already introduced, Garrett Friedmans and everyone else who's really donated their stories, their memorabilia, and everyone else. So we have more people here in the room. We have the project steering committee, which is made out of people that are not all here, but representatives from the Wiener Library, from the Jewish Museum in London. And by the way, we have a wonderful learning conference next week on the 27th, Wednesday, at the Wiener Library, the Jewish Museum in London. Thank you very much. Here, where am I? It's all online. Please sign up. It's a great lineup. Really all about faith and Jewish and community heritage. A whole day. Both in person, but very limited capacity because it's a small education room. We have to be safe, but also online. So not quite hybrid, but it will be streamed and it will be interactive. So please do sign up. It's free. It's going to be a wonderful day. We have presenters like Dawn, for example, being part of that as well. And yeah, it's going to be really great. So as to continue, so many people to thank. We have Mary, our photographer, who's been with so many projects. And obviously all the rabbis, liberal Judaism, progressive rabbis. And there's Danny, who you remember also participated, so wonderful, but also was supporting the project in its beginnings in so many other ways. Danny, without you, again, the journey wouldn't have happened. I'm glad you're here today. It's lovely to see you. How to continue. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming from Israel. I mean, flying in from Israel for this, that's quite something, right? Come on, yeah. Thank you for participating in the project. Thank you for speaking. Thank you. Have I forgotten anyone? Lee, of course, that's coming. We're doing the round. Andrew for coming here. Margaret, thank you as well, who's been part of so many projects, and I'm glad you made it here.
As well,
We're getting there. We're doing the round. We're doing the round. Yes, and of course Team LJ. Without Team LJ, all this wouldn't be possible. And Tanya here volunteering, like such as, and Jez, of course. So thank you, Tanya, as well, who's done also like so much admin support and always like, you know, coordinating things. And we mustn't forget, apart from the creative stuff, this is really also really important, including LJ Finance, Janet, who's not here today, but the whole Team LJ. It's just, we are just Team LJ, really. You know, and even though we're maybe not physically at the office at the moment, we need to get on. I know. I just, yeah, terrible. Oh my God, yeah. I'm gonna let you go. Lee, thank you for being here filming this. This is really important so everybody can see it. And I hope I haven't forgotten anyone. I really don't.
Well, they can watch it back and check.
Yeah. Yeah. I just come back to the Wiener Library and then re-record the whole thing again. If I haven't mentioned anyone or any organization, please forgive me. It's just so overwhelming how many people have been part of this, and all of you have just, you know, added so much value to this. Thank you.
I will say to everybody, we are so proud of this project and the number of people that have been involved. And I just want to say, go and have a look, take your booklet, enjoy, and pass the story on. So to everybody, good night. Thank you so much for being here.